This is a true story. What you are about to listen to underscores a serious dynamic in 2026 on planet Earth. The internet. I heard rumblings about it back in the 90s. Peter Jennings talked about it on ABC News. He said something about the phone, the TV, and computers being combined. And I remember right then thinking, wow, so we can talk to somebody straight on the screen and be connected. Have we fared better because of the internet? Really, at the end of the day, Christians say we can get the gospel out all over the world. Yeah. Well, the gospel of PORN is traveling well throughout the globe. Not just heterosexual, but homosexual. We've got hentai cartoon, PORN, we got it all. Are we better off because of the internet? Has it made us better? Has it made us more devoted to God? Go back in time to D.L. Moody, H.A. Ironsides, and Charles Haddon Spurgeon, and John Wesley, and Jonathan Edwards, and the greats. They didn't have it. And yet they're preaching, and their books and their teaching reach more than we're reaching online. We had in the 80s a surge of Christian stores and Christian books and Christian music. Did that make us any more godly? I don't think it has. I look at my own life, I've been deeply hampered by using the internet. There is too much temptation. And one of the fruits of the Spirit that most of us lack is self-control. It's almost non-existent in us. Welcome to my channel. Food for thought and thought for mental food. Has it made us closer to God? We have broken down the barriers. You go back 50 years ago, images and things that we hear about and see, we wouldn't have heard about and seen then. Why are we changing so fast as a world? There was a Filipina online. I listened to her for all of 20 seconds. She's online promoting her world. Standing there doing something in the kitchen. And she's saying marriage, it's a waste of time. But why is that? In 1900, women married men because they needed to. Because if they tried to make it on their own in the 1900 culture, it was a major uphill battle. They didn't have Dollar Tree. They didn't have Walmart. They didn't have malls. Most of the people that ran stores back in the day were men, proprietors. You didn't have Payless shoe stores. You didn't have Nike, Adidas, or any of that. You went to the cobbler. You didn't go to a bakery. Mom was the bakery. Mom was the cook. Going out to eat at a restaurant? Fast food didn't exist. Young ladies back in 1900 were not sitting in their room going, blah, 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 blah. They weren't dancing to videos being provocative and racy on the internet. No, they were doing this. Let me get something. Let's use an illustration. This is a rare one. Most have metal. This has curved glass. Girls weren't playing with their phones. They were scrubbing clothing. The old-fashioned, old-school way. That's fascinating. Girls learned to cook. They learned to sew. They looked after the babies. Boys, they weren't playing Roblox. They weren't playing Fortnite. They weren't playing anything. In an agrarian-based society, the boys, when they were old enough, were helping Papa slop the hogs, milk the cows, and they learned to drive the tractor, if they had one, or the horse, pulling the things behind it to create the furrows. We take it for granted that we left an agrarian-based culture, that something happened with modernization. It made boys wussies. It made girls spoiled brats. And we have boys thinking they're girls, and girls wanting to be and dressed and act or walk and talk like boys. And we don't see any of this because it's become societal norm. Has the internet made us better? You cannot prove to me at all that it has. We talk about mental trash. We talk about wasting time. I do it, you do it, we all do it. We talk about the community we've created on my channel, but have we created community on my channel? Or has it become a surrogate and a substitute when we don't even know the people on a block in our own neighborhood? More and more people are opting out of church, quoting scripture wrongly. Where two or more are gathered in my name, that's all I need. We don't have fellowship. Women can sit at home in their panties. Men can sit at home in their underwear or nothing. They can log onto their phones. One guy I know says every weekend he's going to go home and watch WWE in his underwear. My thoughts are going, why is a grown man watching WWE in his underwear? We've got so comfortable. I remember when chat rooms came out, people would do and say things online that they would never, ever do face-to-face in a civilized society. And we got it with trolling today, the hate. They feel brave hiding behind a monitor or a keyboard or a phone. And you go back at a time in this country and some of the people saying and doing the things they're doing online would have resulted in a clean clock and a fat lip and busted teeth. And these youngsters that are getting online spewing hate and venom and laughing and mocking and hiding in mommy or daddy's house saying these things, they have no fear because there's no consequences and they never got their butt spanked growing up. So the internet has become a playground for the devil. Your employer requires you to have a company email or your email. More and more employers are telling their employees they need to use their phone. I have politely told mine, I don't use my phone for my job. You guys don't pay for the phone bill. This is a utility. You want to pay my phone bill, and then you're going to have to buy me a phone. In fact, why don't you just buy burner phones for the employees and we're responsible for it? No. And people do that all the time. Mike, where's your phone? I said, it's not at my job. I don't use it for this job. Well, you need to. No, I don't. You guys are not paying me and my utility bill for my phone. So we say, well, you got a paycheck. It doesn't matter. You want to pay my phone bill, and if my phone gets damaged or ruined in the job, you need to buy me a new phone because I'm using my equipment for your job. And I don't believe that they have a right to mandate that. They're paying me $100,000 or big money a year. Okay, I'll go along with it. But a warehouse job that pays pennies on the dollar for what I'm worth? Not at all. Not at all. The internet has made me realize that it doesn't matter where you go. Women have changed on the internet. In the back of my mind, even within myself, I realize, how can you trust anybody who gets online? You fall in love with a woman, you go to your job, and she's sitting there on her phone all day. Who's she texting? Who's she hooking up with? Who's she talking to? And they're wondering the same about us. The good news is when I go to work, I'm not hooking up. I go and do my job, and my phone, my baby binky's put away. I pull out my baby binky too much on my off time. And sometimes that happens to me. Sometimes I'm wholly unproductive, surfing the internet, looking at things I shouldn't look at. It's a sad and real dynamic of our age. And people say, well, you can use it for so much good. You can. But you can also use it for so much temptation. And people have asked me, Mike, do you think the internet is evil? No, I don't. But I think it's being used to erode humanity more than it is in saving them. Even me, I question myself every day. The trolling and the hatred. Is it worth it? What did I do in the 70s and 80s? What did I do when I moved to Duluth in 1989 and there was no internet? And I didn't even have a landline, let alone a cell phone. I walked along Lake Superior. I read books. I'd run out in a snowstorm. And now there's this problem. I think, man, if I got rid of the internet, I can't hear music. I can't do this. We've become sucked into the web. How do you break free from it? Do we need to break free from it? Yeah. And how? You go to church. Churches, their electronic sign out front. Like us on Facebook. Whatever happened to like us in church? What happened to real fellowship with real people? Even me, I go to church. Most of the people there, we're never going to gel or click. Never. We're in a shallow, indifferent, cold world. Even among believers in Christ. I go for one reason alone. Because God commands me to. Let us not forsake the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some. I go to hear the pastor. That's it. I could care less about the choir. I could care less about the choir director and his wife and their kids. The choir director, I'm not trying to be rude, but plays that 80s track music that goes, and all that. It's like, this doesn't move me. This doesn't do anything for me. I used to love to read good Christian books where you felt the stirring of God. How do we get close to God? I'm guilty of talking. The song "You Talk Too Much" was written when I came into this world. You talk too much, you never shut up. It's real. I do. I have the gift of gab. Drove my parents nuts. I was teased all the time for that. I was teased by my parents for the following things. I eat too much, I talk too much, I'm too hyper, I'm too flibbity-gibbet. I had too much energy. My mom and dad, not my dad, but my mother made fun of my fears. My older sister taught me to ride a bicycle and I got my foot caught in the spokes and it hurt so bad. And I learned not to trust my sister. I had a John Deere pedal tractor. She let me go down the hill and I crashed and burned. I asked my sister for a drink of water when she was babysitting me. She gave me a thing of Listerine and then tickled me and I hit my head on the old metal-edged fruit crate that they had in Napa Valley in California at the pear farms and pear orchards and stuff. And I finally learned you cannot trust this sister. And I was afraid. I didn't learn to ride the bike. My mother made fun of me. I didn't learn to swim. My mother made fun of me. I didn't trust my dad. I didn't trust my mother. Why should I? Breathing cigarette smoke down in my crib. Ripped from my mother after 4 months. How does a 4-month-old process anything? I don't even remember that period. You cannot remember your infancy. You cannot. Somebody will tell me they do. I don't. I have a weird thought that went through my head the other day. There was a guy named Tom at Walteria Elementary. We walked home from school one day and took a detour. And LA doesn't have woods, but we went into this abandoned property. And it was just overtaken by, California trees with leaves. And there was an old outhouse made out of grade wood, old building. And we were trying to pull it apart. It was old. It was decaying away. And I was thinking about that. How do you have an outhouse, an old wooden structure in Torrance in LA when I was a kid? How does that happen? LA's modern. I have these memories that come back and I'm like, yeah, where was that? What's there now? A shopping mall? I mean, you'd expect to see that out west in a ghost town, but LA? I'm sitting on the outhouse roof trying to pry boards off of it. Very hard. And I don't know. We did things as kids. We ran the neighborhoods together. We rode our bikes. Yeah, sometimes we got in trouble. Kids did stupid things. But you don't see kids playing outside anymore. If you see a group of kids walking anywhere in America, your first thought is they must be up to no good. Is the internet destroying us? Is it destroying our intellect? We can access information right now, right here. Want to find out what movie's playing, how much it costs, where it's at, what time it's showing? You want to find out the intricacies of quantum physics? Voila. You want to find out everything and anything you know about the Titanic, even that which is totally false, made up and generated by YouTube artists? Right here. You want to learn everything about an underarm and armpit hair? Right here. And the internet is also a great place to learn a lot of lies. And people will give them credibility. They're so convincing. AI is now in the mix. And people can't tell the difference between that and reality. Scary. I ask myself all the time, so if I got off YouTube, what would I do? I go to work. I come home. I live in a city that, well, everybody's on their phone. Or dealing drugs, or smoking pot, or drinking beer. Same sex is all around. I saw two big, heavy black women, both of them looking very mannish, holding hands, and you could tell, yep, lesbian, through the flea market. Beautiful black woman that I took a picture with yesterday. She's dating a white woman. She's been around the block with men and women, and I'm like, wow, you know, the definition of normal today is not the same as it was when Tom and I were trying to take apart a damn outhouse in Los Angeles. When I was a kid, we played with kids. I was in Dollar Tree yesterday, and a young black woman had 3 daughters. And the one was in the shopping cart, and she kept whining. She was sitting in the cart facing me, Mommy, 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 Mom, Mom, Mommy, Mommy. And Mommy's so used to it, she's tuning out the kid. And the other 2 girls are grade school. They walk up in front of me and grab all the crap that's by the register, these little syrupy bottles of tooth decay crap, and throwing it all in the cart. I'm like, dang, these kids are just grabbing everything, and Mama's going to buy it all. And she looked at one daughter and she said, no. She looked at me, I said, you know what? And to think that people think that being a mother is easy. And she goes, I know, right? And I used it as a segue to talk, and the lady at the register was white, and she said, I can tell that little one's a handful. She goes, and the mother says, oh, yeah. And that quick, they're ringing up the product. The sisters take the girl in the cart and run out the door and say, hey, we didn't get our stuff in there. I'm like, I'm so glad I don't got to raise those 3 girls. Everywhere I go, it don't matter if I go to Manila, even my friend Mina. Hi guys, hello everybody, welcome. She wants to strike it rich in stardom. She wants to leave her mother at 40-something, marry somebody and have this wonderful life. And what are we as Americans doing on here? It's a damn good question. Looking for a wife? Looking for a rush? We're addicted to the internet. We spend more time on it than we do with the living God. That's a fact. It's changed me. It's changed us. Pavlov's dog. You go to work. You work with crappy people. You come home. I got things to do. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by it all. I'm getting older and I just want to say, can I just have a house that's done that's much smaller? Can we just push the reset button? Can I have a girlfriend? Oh, forget that. A girlfriend? That's like being on one little piece of thread, hanging on for dear life over a branch of a tree. There's crocodiles and sharks right there, smiling, waiting for you to drop in. That's the dating pool today. And the internet has conditioned us to get the dopamine. Oh, look at that pretty girl. Rub one out, feels good. The reward center of the brain lights up like a video arcade. Ding, 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 ding. And your brain gets used to it. I can have my dopamine fix every day. I can't get a girlfriend. I don't know everybody on my block. We work, we pay our bills, find a dopamine release. Most people drink and smoke and do 420, defending to the death their right to smoke pot. Everybody, we are circling the drain. Technology will be used, according to Revelation, 2 witnesses in Jerusalem will be killed. They will not bury them. They will refuse them burial. They'll have a life can on their bodies. People will be clicking on and staring at that. They will send gifts to each other because they hate these people. You know, kind of like me, Charlie Kirk, others are trying to tell the truth. We're there right now. I said a long time ago, the next level for America to hit is just to go wanton violent. And guess what? It's happening. People are bored. They're bored with normal sex. They're bored with normal marriage. Video games get old. They don't want virtual reality. They want reality. So now you have rage baiting on the internet. Say inflammatory things, provoke somebody, get them to say something, so you can create a shark pit. Encouraging violence. As in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man. And what was going on Noah's day? Violence filled the earth. I know the word. Is the internet making me a better Christian? Is my time on it making me more like Christ? No. I've gotten hooked on it. If I was to turn this off and I come home from work, you know, I get tired if I try to read a book. Then maybe I should just follow that. Well, if you read and you're tired, go to bed. So what I do for fun. We are not an island. And I don't care what age you are. I don't care what culture you're from. Satan loves this web. We're all stuck in it like a fly. Waiting for the spider to come down. Got every girl, every boy, every adult on it. How do you get off of it? How do you break from it? The question is, do we want to? I get tired of virtual sex. They got sex robots now. Why would somebody want that? Why would somebody want that? You got big names like Benny Johnson, Mark Dice, and others. They're making money. You got Candace Owens, who had a fairly classy conservative act. She's gone bananas. Megyn Kelly, gone bananas. Tucker Carlson, all three of those I liked at one time. I don't listen to them. Are we becoming mentally ill because of this? I think so. I think so. When you can sit on the internet and not care about people or the danger you are posing to them, mentally something's tweaked. When you don't have compassion, we have these arguments and fights and debates. Is anybody really being won over? Are the only people following me are those that already agree with me anyway? Yes. So am I winning anybody over from the dark side? No. So then, in effect, I'm preaching to the choir. Am I any better than D.L. Moody? Am I any better than John Wesley? These were men that didn't have the internet. They didn't even have a microphone. They didn't even have a speaker. They didn't even have a resistor or a capacitor. Old creaky oak floors. Old hard oak pews with no cushions. Maybe there was a piano or an old pump organ. and they walked, and they carried themselves with a severity and a sternness that most of you would not sit in their presence today. They stood at a pulpit, and they declared the truth of God so powerful that unbelievers, after the end of the sermon, grabbed the wooden pillars in the church thinking they were going to drop through a rotting floor into the gates of hell. And a revival swept New England under Jonathan Edwards' sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. We look for drama and sensational. Even people on my channel that claim to be loyal to me will go over and watch the clowns. Why? Because people are sick. Are we becoming mentally ill? Turn off your phone for the day. Bet you can't do it. Humanity's not worth investing in anymore because they're not going to take it. You invest in somebody. You talk. You get to know somebody. Gone. You don't hear from them. Ghosting. Radio silence. Text silence. I might as well be back on the deck of an ocean liner sitting in a room by myself. 882.5 feet of solid iron and rivets. Are we all just sending out our own SOS? Is our society in the death knell? Is it in the final stages? Then we had Socrates and Plato, and we had scholars, and we had debaters, and we had the greatest playwrights ever like Shakespeare. And today we have Taylor Swift and Cardi B. Ooh la la. And people don't use the mind, and if you dare to convict anybody, just like Herod's wife, they had a Mike Nelson on a platter. I don't like him. He convicts me. I don't convict. God convicts. When you tell the truth, you will not be loved. The internet is Piccadilly Circus. Everybody can get on it. Everybody can have an opinion. Who's right? Who's wrong? And just like Pontius Pilate said, what is truth? Is it me? Is it you? Look at all the trolls that made comments. Grown men. You're ugly. You're analyzing my looks. It's a man. I bet you in the days of D.L. Moody that men did not go up to somebody and say, you're ugly, Steve. Farthest thought from their minds. Has the internet eroded us? Has it made us savage, primitive, and barbaric? You better believe it. You better believe it. We're circling the drain. The toilet has already begun to flush in our society. And I've said it, and I'll say it again. Go to church anywhere, USA. Get on the road. Go to your workplace. Mentally ill and unstable people all around us. Even me. Damage. But thanks be to God, He began a good work in me. That's your only hope, clowns. That's your only hope, bipolar medicated people. God. That's it. Even me, I question things deeper, and I need to, but will it bring me to a point of intrinsic change? I know a lot. Do I walk in that a lot? And America has become very good at not modeling anything but crap. And you can go around many people who will tell you the answers to this or that. They say they're this, they say they're that. I don't care if you're an atheist, a Republican, a Christian, a non-Christian, gay or straight. None of them know how to use a damn turn signal. None of them follow a speed limit. And you expect me to take you seriously. Mike, really? Yeah, really. You can't follow traffic laws. So believing there is no God, well, of course, you say there's no absolutes. So you don't follow the rules. But wait, you're a Christian. You believe there are absolutes until you get in your car. Well, you got to go the flow. That's not what the book says. You can talk about standing on the word of God, but when you get in your car, traffic rules go out the window. I can tell you this. You want to see the sign of a healthy nation? Look at the way the individuals in the name of freedom drive and operate a motor vehicle. That's it. That's it. Right there. Boom. People are selfish. They're narcissistic. They're impatient. They think they're God. They think they can reinterpret the law. And then those same morons that drive like that, when somebody runs a red light and hits them, even though they ran red lights for 10 years of their driving history, now they're going to get into turning. We're self-righteous. People are hypocrites. And it's those kind that get on my channel, judging my looks. My looks don't matter to the Creator. Did you know that? God isn't going to look at me and go, boy, you're ugly. God's going to take all my works, and He's going to separate them by wood, hay, and stubble and precious gems. Do I suffer loss? Do I gain reward? And the reward is not for me to wear my little Burger King hat and walk around in heaven and go, it's for me to throw it down at the feet of God. What are you doing? God made man and woman to be married, and this I know. And it's been destroyed in our culture. Casual sex, friends with benefits, thruples, foursomes, twosomes, threesomes. People are bored. People want to reinvent the wheel. They want to deceive themselves. We have no conviction. We've lost it. Even me. I've been damaged by the culture from whence I came. The frog in the kettle. I was raised in Hollywood. I was raised on TV. Raised on music. Music is the Pied Piper that Pied Pipers us right into feelings. Why do you think there's so much road rage in America? Everybody gets in their car and they're playing the crap. Laura Branigan, you take my self-control. Music takes it. That's what it's designed to do. Jimi Hendrix said, with music, we can pump anything we want into a kid's brain. You hear a little jingle? Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Oh, I love this song. Do you know what they're saying in it? Well, not really. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Oh, what a great song. Imagining there's no heaven, huh? Imagine there's no hell, John. That's not so easy to do, is it? Because you're there, or will be. What if God were a slob like one of us? The lines of a popular song that all the women said, oh, I like this. People started reading the book called The Shack. You talk about messy. There's no sound theology in these two things. Our culture has more sway over me and you than that Bible does any day. Fact. Analyze your own self. Tell me I'm lying. Now we've been duped. I know I do weird things. I know I rationalize it all the time, but guess what? God is holy. God is perfect. And He doesn't trifle or wink at our foolishness, mine included. Just because we see clowns on the internet, clowns on Capitol Hill, clowns as kings and whatever in other cultures, and nothing's happening to them because they're evil. Justice delayed is not justice denied. And that book tells me there cometh unto a day, it is appointed unto man once to die, and then the judgment. That's it. Femias, Andrew, Trump, Biden, Clinton, Barack, Jimmy Carter found that out. Ronald Reagan, all of them. It don't matter how much you earn, don't matter how much college, don't matter you got a trophy wife and perfect kids, valedictorian. Who cares? Who cares what you drive? The minute you buy it, it starts to decay and rot. And you paid too much, drive it off the showroom floor and go back and try to get it back. Can't. We in America put more emphasis on diminishing returns than we do eternal investments. Even we as Christians, I myself included. I wanted a house. Do you know how much stuff I still got to do to this place? I get discouraged. I have been a DIY guy. Now I'm tired. I want to downsize. I want the original footprint of this house when it was built, 27 by 23. I don't want a big place. Too much. As you get older, you don't want to be a slave. I want to be in heaven where I'll own nothing and be happy because God owns it. And he allows me to enjoy it for eternity. No tax, no sweat. Not one person in the kingdom of God is going to make fun of me for these. Because I won't have them. No one's going to comment on the way I dress. Because I'll be dressed the way God wants us to be dressed in his kingdom. No one will make fun of my hair. It'll be what God has intended it to be in my glorified body. Nobody will look at me and go, oh, what's he doing here? All the neurotic deficiencies in mankind vaporize when we go to be with the Lord. I will look at every woman with absolute godly purity. I will look at every man and there will be no pecking order and alpha, beta complex. They will look at each other and say, brother, did you see the glory of God? Brother, walk with me. Elijah, I read about you in the Bible. Can I talk with you? Moses, Noah. You know, when I was on earth, I was into ships. Talk to me about that ark, man. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I know this. There will be no neurosis. There will be no medications. There will be no more sore backs or busted hips or jacked up brains. That's enough for me. I won't go to heaven and everybody's like, hey, look, dumbass just came in the door. There will be none of that. No more bullying, no more trolling. The world is spinning right now because they know they don't have peace. They don't have eternal life. They don't have forgiveness of sins. So they're creating strife and hatred and variance and discord. I think it's interesting. I use Discord for a chat client. But what does discord mean? It's not a positive in Scripture. And people are using it to create discord. Interesting. Ironic. How do we get close to God? You tell me if you know. You say you're not addicted to this? I'll tell you you're a liar. I love it when people say on YouTube, oh, I don't get on social media. You just left a comment, dumb. That is social media. Mentally ill. And as a society rejects God, as a society begins to persecute and call for harassment and lie and slander about God's people, it's proof of what God said in his word. The wisdom of God is greater than any so-called wisdom. The foolishness of God is greater than man's so-called wisdom. And ignorant, blind clowns get on the internet and have a following and say, Look, I got 60,000 people, 60,000 people going to hell just like you. Yeah, good job, buddy. Wrong end of the stick, huh? This is the world we live in. How do we live? See that you walk circumspectly and not as fools. Ooh, ouch. I haven't always walked circumspectly. Have you? I find it interesting, and boy, am I going to say something. A lot of women that are married. One of the women that got a boyfriend want to talk to me, want to message me. That needs to be for your man. We've blurred the lines of everything. Everything. Most churches I go to will talk about the sins that they don't think that they are participating in or are guilty in. But they will ignore the ones that are gluttony, materialism, haughtiness, pride. I say it, I have yet to see a church in America address the women and the sins that they do, ever, since 1985 when I got saved. But I saw my pastor do something. I almost stood up and said, oh yeah. I thought, don't do it. This is not the place. You got two women started going on about their husbands under the guise of, does anybody have any prayer requests? That, by the way, is a coded message for, oh, now I can gossip about my husband in front of the whole church. I need prayer for my husband because he's doing this. Pastor said, ladies, I will stop you right there. Your husband is not here to defend himself. And we've got a boatload of men that don't come to this church because you talk about your husband, goes through the church gossip like wildfire, and they don't feel comfortable coming in here because everybody's looking at them. Thank you, Pastor. I'm glad to see a man who's got a pair in the pulpit. You women that entertain stories about other men when you don't have the man to defend himself, grow up. The Bible is against that. It just goes on and on and on in our culture. My question today for everybody listening to me. People compliment me. And I tell them stop. Then they tell me they're struggling with the flesh. How much of that struggling with the flesh is because of this internet? How much? Well, then what are you going to do? What are you going to do to stop the problem? You know, I lived in Duluth before the internet. I still struggled with lust. But you had to go to a store to buy adult material. And I was too nervous because, well, I don't want people seeing me buy that. I'm a Christian, right? But there are ways to get into sin whether you have the internet or not. The internet just makes it easy, more accessible, and it's private. Because you can do it and nobody sees you. Except the fingerprint you left online. Except God. And I've learned about myself over the years. We worry more about what somebody else thinks. That will be a deterrent from us doing something, but we don't think the same way about God. People go to church and put on their game face, but then they'll go home when their wife's asleep, go down to the basement and turn on the internet and look at ladies loving ladies. Which is proof. Jesus talked about it. We value the opinions of people on the horizontal rather than the vertical. God sees everything we do and we don't even bother to hide from Him. But I won't participate in this because Bill might see me and Bill will go and give me a look. And we need to reverse that. We need to reverse that. Who cares about what some clown anywhere thinks? What does God say? In construction, you use what's called a plumb line. Society and peers are not to be our plumb line. When I laid the fence, that was a job. I had to clean up all the crap and the vines and the thorns. And I got how many trips to the walk-in clinic with an outbreak of poison ivy, poison sumac. I'll tell you what, that fence line was the devil. When I first moved here and I looked at that, I stood there and said, I'm not even going to worry about replacing the fence. It was leaned, had so much ivy and stuff that it was holding it up. To prove to you how bad Helene was, 106-mile-an-hour winds pushed that whole mess over. And I had to clean it. And I had all these trees about that big around, all growing on the fence line. I'm like, oh. Cut them down, dig out the stump. Have you ever dug out a little stump? Easy, right? Use the pickaxe, use the sharpshooter. There's a root. Okay, chop it. No, there's another root. Chop it. There's another root. Good, great. This little thing that big around has 5,000 roots going out from it. That's your sin. Your sin. Deeply rooted. I learned illustrations by being in the yard. Dealing with a problem means more force, more work, more sweat. Is the internet like the super unleaded? Is it the high octane? The pastor said that internet, PORN, is like crack cocaine. It's no longer you in public. I went to the flea market and that beautiful black woman, you don't see it. I didn't lower the camera enough. We're talking silver dollar sized areolas and nipples as big around as my thumb. And I mean, right through that white t-shirt, no bra. And I'm a grown man. She's in a relationship with the white woman next to her. But all I see is this. Boing. My gosh. That's all I can think about. Those high beams are incredible. But God is doing his work. I thought, even if she were available, you think she got all these kids. She's dated women and men and fooled around. You think you're going to have a solid, grounded relationship with that? Tattoos all down here. Oh, she's sexy. She's exotic. Rings in the nose. I like her as a person, but I thought, Michael, that is eye candy and zero more. But our society, I saw people leaving comments. Oh, finally, you got some brown sugar on here. We don't value relationships. I've watched women over the years. They don't have a profile pic. They don't date anybody. They pull up the drawbridge and they talk to their dog all day long. That is another system of a jacked up society. We value pets more than people. We value that car, that truck, that house, that bank account. Trophy women are put out on parade up front. More people care about the football game than they do about God's game. Was I wrong in saying America's the largest mental institution? No, I'm not. But it's happening globally. The internet is transporting everybody in there. We have daily free admissions of people walking in to the mental institution of it all. I talk about rubbing one out to an image. Life, people, society, and yes, women have reduced themselves to eye candy only. To get involved with them, there's video after video about the pitfalls of involving with Western women. So I went to prove that, and I chased somebody in Asia. That video needs to be updated to women, period. And then there's another video that needs to come out and say men, period. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. None of us gets it straight. Women want this knight in shining armor. Men want this perfect woman. And we believe the lie, believe the BS, and it doesn't exist. We ourselves are not perfect, and yet we expect perfection. And the dynamic of a relationship is you have to work together. And people work hard at their job, but they want to work hard at a relationship. So the internet gives you a place where you can just fantasize, imagine, and die alone. Isn't that awesome? Stupid, if you ask me. The internet has attracted people that were shy, people that were bullied, people that were teased, people that are on medications. They breed like rabbits. Right here. Some of them are now getting revenge through a keyboard because of the anger of what they've been through. Taking it out on me and everybody else. Reality, man. I asked myself, if I got off the internet, would that be more productive? I like to talk. You can call it preaching, whatever. I like to rant. But I would rather, I don't care if it's some small little snowy town up north. Somebody called me and said, I know you don't call yourself a pastor, but we've got a community here and we can pay you enough to live and you got a house to live in with your peace of mind. We want you to preach to us. I'm done with YouTube. To be involved with real people and to tell the truth, let's do it, God. Now, I'm not saying the people on my channel are real. There's many women on here that are struggling. They've got health issues. They've got setbacks. And they gain something out of this channel. But this channel and even me and this internet causes an illusion. People look at me, they see my health. Oh my gosh, she's such... We believe lies. Those images we see online, you don't smell her or him. You don't live with them. Anybody can make this look good. But you get two moving parts together? You bother me. You bother me. I thought you were pretty. I thought you were handsome. You suck, you suck. And there goes. That's the world. That's the reality. People take risks now, they're foolish. Let me stand on a precipice 3,000 feet from the Valley floor of Yosemite so I can catch a sunset waterfall and slip to my death, and then I don't have, I'm not an influencer anymore. In the last couple of weeks, do you know how many influencers have been killed because of their own dumb channel foolishness? Who was the guy that was playing around with crocodiles and crap? Got stung by a manta. Died. God said in His Word, I will put fear between you and the animals. God doesn't reverse that. Let's go play with mantas. Let's get close to things that are not our friend. Let's go see how close we can get to the polar bears. How about that couple that got up to Alaska and was running up into Kodiak grizzlies? See, they're not dangerous. And one day, two bears said, lunchtime. They're gone. Man thinks he knows so much. People around here go fishing down at the brickyards. There's 10-foot or bigger gators just laying right there. I said, why would you get that close to these things? They can sidewind and just grab your foot and you're done. They clamp that jaw against your extremity. You can't get out. Something like 2,700 pounds per square inch on that jaw close. You people are dumb. I stay away from that stuff. Mentally ill behavior is being exhibited by many trolls. The dumb questions asked, what are you wearing? WTF? They think they're being smart. They think they're being cute. And the dumb people that thumbs up their dumb comment. I don't know, what am I wearing? It looks like a shirt. Why would you ask that? It's not a trash bag. It's not a suit of armor. Then you got people rage baiting because they don't have collective intellect. They don't have talent. They don't have skills. They don't have this. You got men out there living by this thing right here. Rationalizing and justifying their innate perversion. Encouraging hatred, violence, and harm against anybody who would gently tell the truth about that's not okay. John the Baptist was beheaded by Herod's brother, his wife. Herod was the king. No, she's mine. Brother has no say. King is sovereign. John the Baptist said to him in a discussion, he said the king liked listening to John the Baptist. It's because the Holy Spirit was working on him. It's not right for you to have your brother's wife. Herod's wife must have been in the vicinity, or he told her. And all she could think about, all her mind did was work, overtime. I want that man dead. You got people on the internet right now that want me dead. They want trouble on me. They don't care. And they deny the Bible. 1 Corinthians 13, if I have all faith that can move mountains, if I have all knowledge and can fathom all mysteries but have no love, I'm nothing. Loveless, soulless, satanically driven souls dominate social media and own it. And we get on here, and churches put their churches on here. You're not changing the congregation. Now you're going to import it on the internet. I want to be used by God. I want to get this pollution in my own immoral mind at bay. How? Even if I turn off the internet, go to the flea market and seeing areolas and nipples, I'm done. Am I going to act on it? Well, I can't. She's involved. She did give me a hug, and they were solid, and they pressed right into me. I'm like, good grief. I know I'm a man. I know I'm a man because when a woman presses her nipples and her boobs into me, not only do I feel it, but everything in me wants to go, come to Papa. I thank God that I was made interested in women. That's what he wanted. But look what women have become today. Look what the internet's doing to them. We are a nation of mentally ill people. A woman in Baltimore during COVID killed her 2 children, put them in the trunk of her car. Driving through town, people noticed an awful smell by her car. Police pulled her over one day, did a search, and there's 2 rotting bodies in there. How can a woman in a civilized America do that? How does Susan Smith take her 2 kids, strap them in the backseat of the car, and then go out and say a black man carjacked her? No. She was interested in a man. Man said, I won't date you because you have kids. She came up with a great solution. Well, I'll just push the car into the lake and that solves that problem. That woman's in jail. I know the woman who's married to a black man who does kitchen duty at that jail and one here. And guess what? There's still men writing Susan Smith that want to date her, sorry, but tell me that we're not in a mental institution in this country. Rich women with money writing gangsters in prison. When you get out, I want to marry you. Satan has gotten his claws into this nation more than a communist China. China is boldly out there as communist. This nation is a trip. This is not, and it never was, a Christian nation. They had some Judeo-Christian ethic, but our style of government was modeled after Rome. Legislative, judicial branch. America's a mess. You got one group of people that's responsible for the highest percentage of crime, screaming that the rest of us are racist against them. You got all groups of people in this country pointing their finger at everybody, but never, ever, ever, ever pointing at themselves. People are more afraid of doing something because their close friend might not like them. I lost what I thought was a friend with not much explanation. I can understand getting off the channel, but no text. Are you okay? What is going on in our world? I'm not suicidal, but I want to go home. This is not home. This is a house. I put my blood, sweat, tears, and personality in here. Who cares? One day it'll be gone, as will I. It's sad when I think about it. I like character. But God, what we do for him is what lasts. Society. And they look at Frank Lloyd Wright. They look at people that did things. God is not going to judge Frank Lloyd Wright on his architecture. God isn't going to judge LeBron James on his football stats. He ain't going to judge Cardi B on her millionaire status and having hot pop. He can judge every single one of us for this. The first one is, do we have a relationship with him? And if we do, that's good because we're saved. But if you don't have a relationship with him, then God's going to pull out the old law and he's going to read it off to you. You didn't trust Christ as Savior, so I will judge you on the merits of the law. You had other gods before you. You did not honor your mother and father. You committed adultery in your mind. You coveted. You blah, blah, blah. You broke all my commands. So since you rejected my Savior and you didn't keep the law the way Jesus Christ did, who stood in your place, bye. Adios, amigo. Hasta la vista, baby. It's over. You won't be dribbling no ball in hell. You won't be designing anything in hell. You won't be developing more software in hell. You won't be twerking and jerking and going, "Ooh," in hell. Get it, Shawnee? Hell's coming. Heaven's coming. Soon to a theater near you. It is appointed unto man once to die and then the judgment. You take this life for granted. You sit in your mommy's house going, da, 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 all day. And you got a fan club of equally idiotic blah, blah, blahs. Good night. You don't have a vision. You don't see. Professing to be wise, you are a fool. I don't care if somebody disagrees with me. That's to be expected. But you got a new crop of evil out there. You don't like me, so now let's slander and lie and encourage hatred and violence. Why? So John the Baptist principle, that's why. I said something that convicted these clowns, and they're angry. Really angry. Jesus, when he talked, his disciples said, "Know ye not that the Pharisees were offended?" Jesus handled himself perfectly. I can imagine him saying, "Yeah, and what else is new?" Picture this, people. Jesus is God. Jehovah's Witnesses deny that. That is a clown religion with godless clowns. Sorry, just saying it. Some of the prettiest women I've met, black and white, go to Kingdom Hall. Beautiful women. This is not working. They have no discernment. Some of the most beautiful black and white women I've seen out there go to Kingdom Hall. Proof that beauty doesn't always get your brain in the right place. A lot of beautiful Mormon women. A lot of beautiful women in offshoot cults of evangelicalism. I remember years ago there was a church that started in Duluth called Ecclesia. Ecclesia means called out. Started by Doug Dodson, some preacher from Oklahoma. The church exploded. There was a woman that lived downstairs when I was at 804 East 3rd Street named Lisa. Lisa was good looking. Standard 80s white girl, got knocked up, pregnant. I'd get up at 4 in the morning to go drive a bus. She and her kid would be up all night, making noise, stomping, running around. I got so tired of being woke up. I was in an 1800s building, and I woke up one day and went bam, bam, bam with my foot on the floor. She come running upstairs yelling. I said, "You know what? All this noise you're making, I got to go to work." "Well, you don't understand. I'm a parent." "I understand. You're irresponsible. You should put your kid to bed at a normal time." "And don't you tell me how to parent." "Well, stop disturbing me, lady." And then she got her live-in boyfriend come home. "Mike, you need to come to Ecclesia with us." "Oh, you guys go to church?" "Yeah." "Oh, and you're living in sin." "Okay, yeah." The prettiest women in Duluth went to that church. Out of all the places I've lived, no town in America has had the caliber of beautiful women like Duluth, Minnesota. The hottest looking women, white, Caucasian, I've ever seen were in Duluth. Interesting. Duluth is extremely liberal, extremely Democrat, extremely Greenpeace. But Ecclesia attracted the hotties, college age. One day it came out in the papers that Doug Dodson was a homosexual. He got caught. In 24 hours, that church had exploded onto the Duluth scene, stole so many young people from other churches. And all they talked about, and that's a red flag. Oh, Ecclesia. Oh, Ecclesia, Ecclesia. I mean, Jim Jones, Kool-Aid. That hit the Duluth News Tribune. Doug Dodson was caught in homosexual stuff, was gay. In 24 hours, that whole movement went. A mushroom cloud. I went to the church after that when Gary Mativi took it over. It was now meeting at East High School in the auditorium and had less than 50 people. After I left Duluth, my buddy who lived up there said that Gary Mativi, they made a vote to disband it once and for all. And it went. Joel Osteen grew an empire worth $100 million. Him and his fluty wife, which are a perfect advertisement for corporate America and how to steal from sheep. Joel Osteen is the face of evil. But he's a nice boy. Your best life now. Made millions of dollars off of that. I'm going to say it again until I die. And preachers are millionaires. Something is wrong in America. I go to a warehouse. I work hard all day. I'm razzed. I deal with a guy who claims to be a Christian or receiving. He's a butthead. I have nothing positive to say. I said, God, I don't see a shred of Christianity in this human being. Nobody's perfect. But this is ridiculous. And I've come in here and I've yelled and I've screamed and I've banged on the walls and said, why do I have to go through hell just to exist? All this bullying and teasing and hatred. For what? For me expressing and being honest? Yeah. This is not a fair world. It's not a just society. 13% of the population can defecate on society and yell that all of us are racist. Huh. How ironic is that? Feminists screaming and yelling about us men, failing to realize you're here, toots, because of a man. Huh. Huh. You know that white stuff that come out of the end of my ding-dong? Stupid. I don't need a man. Well, then let me go back and find the man that ejected that and yell at all the other sperm in there and say, don't do it! Run the other way! Go back up that urethra! Go back in the vas deferens and stay safe! Woo, baby! Some people should not get pregnant. And it's fun. You will never, ever, 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 ever find somebody like me here. Thank you, God, he broke the mold. I'm happy with what God made me. But man, I'm getting attacked. The devil's all over the place on this stupid internet. But even if I went to some small northern woods town and was asked to teach a church, guess what? The devil is right there too. The devil hates the truth. Doesn't matter where you go. Doesn't matter if I'm on here. Doesn't matter if I'm in a building somewhere way up north. There will always be a Jezebel. Michael, you're a really great teacher, Michael. I really like you. Oh, Satan's everywhere. You can't get away from the devil. You can't get away from God. So better to run to God. Because if you don't run to God, then the devil's got you right in his hand. And the joke's on you. The Apostle Paul, he had a dedication and devotion to God that you do not see in even the top of the line preachers alive today. Paul was considered mad by his peers. He was so focused on God to the point of almost being an extremist. You're not going to sit down and talk about boats, ships, barnacles, trucks to Paul. No way. You're not going to have a normal, hey, Paul, gee, the football. I only focus on Christ. Paul would get on my nerves because you wouldn't be able to discuss anything else. But I submit to you, we're supposed to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And we do get renewed. We do. And we have to look at each Christian, including that Bunnosaurus at work. He's not what I think he ought to be, but guess what? Just think how much worse he'd be if he wasn't saved. I'm not the Apostle Paul, nor was I called to be Apostle Paul. Paul even shredded that in the first opening stanza of Corinthians. Some say I follow Paul, some say I follow Apollos. What are we? What are we? At least Paul had the right perspective. And they made fun of him. Now, Paul's really nothing. When you see him face to face, you're going to go, this the one that writes these weighty letters? Paul said, oh, so you want proof of who I am? Well, the next time I come, I won't spare any of you. You think because I'm the short, ugly man that I'm nothing? Well, then my gloves are off and I'm not going to be tender anymore. And he's not talking about beating him up. He's going to lay it out. Paul was not some beautiful hunk of a man. He said, are the other apostles married and I do not inwardly burn? He didn't have a wife. Women probably didn't think he was attractive. He sure didn't make enough money. If the women back then looked at Paul, he makes tents and he preaches the gospel. Heck no. I ain't going out with that boy. Now you got preachers with swag. Lying. You know, Jesus Christ was crucified on a cross. And we got people preaching health, wealth, and prosperity. We're talking about Almighty God who left heaven and came to this filthy, vile, polluted world and had to be degraded and stained and brutalized by a godless culture. And the religious leaders, the keepers of the law and the Torah and the scrolls and the temple rituals were the worst of the worst to him. Not only they failed to see that this was God incarnate, they trolled him every chance they got. They tried to trap him in foolish, baited questions. So guess what? All this crap on the internet, Ecclesiastes said there's nothing new under the sun. What has been before. They trolled Jesus, they'll troll us. They cut off John the Baptist's head. They shot Charlie Kirk. Nothing new under the sun. What I do see that is disturbing about the mental institution called the United States of America is Christians are joining the asylum as well. They talk about how bold I am. They'll never be bold themselves. They're mousy. They're afraid. They don't want to witness. They don't want to talk about it. Oh, I'd never put myself out here on the internet. You don't put yourself out there anywhere. You live this safe, prescriptive little life. Worrying about your retirement, your investment portfolio. Well, let's go to Lowe's and spend 3 hours studying which fence panels we're going to buy for the backyard. Stupid! This world is on a collision course with God. Donald Trump is making some pretty dumb decisions. I saw something this morning where he's demanding Spain and other people send in reinforcement. Donald Trump, you declared war on Iran. Why is it everybody else's responsibility to help you? And the MAGA cult sitting there going, yep, see, that's proof nobody wants to help us. World War II was a whole different story. Germany and Japan were acting like buttheads. And the world was tired of it. And when the US got involved, Australia and Canada and the UK sent troops because they believed. They're not believing in this. I talked to a woman at the flea market. She voted for Trump. And I bought some clothes from her. And I said to her, this is stupid. You cannot change the Middle Eastern mindset. And she goes, no, that's right. You're never going to win the war. God is going to win against every troll, every fool, and every loudmouth, smart aleck, jerkosaurus. And he's going to win against every despot, dictator, tyrant. Ezekiel 38 and 39, talking about Iran, Turkey, and Russia. And a Muslim conflagration that goes with Russia to surround Israel. He said, I will turn back but a sixth of thee. God wins. We're not there right now. We don't like suffering. We want our lives as the American dream. Oh, I want children. I want pets. I want an SUV. I want this perfect little house. Is that what you were called for? Is that really what God called you for? Was for your comfort zone and your little picnic basket? What are you here for? Femyaz believes he's here to rattle the cages of people like me. He works for Satan. He is in the employ. He clocks in with the devil every day. Isn't that fun? When you're a Christian, you clock in with God, whether you like it or not. But the problem is, you go sit in the back of the warehouse and you waste time. Christians do that. Well, I'm saved, but I don't want to rock the boat. Oh, you don't want to be the light. The Bible says you're the light. You don't put a light under a bushel. The salt. You're salt. Now you're going to be useless salt, devoid of any taste. And that's not right. As Christians, we better get a fire under our butt. Now don't do something you're not called to do. I don't expect everybody to follow in Michael's footsteps. That's not your job. Your job is not to follow me or anybody else. And what does American Christians do? Oh, you got to hear this preacher. Oh, you got to go to this church. No, I don't. I don't got to hear him. I don't go to that church. I got to hear from God. And I got to be who I am. Boom. Any questions? And we do this. We make cult shrines out of everybody. And I got men and women doing it to me, and I've told them over and over to stop, and they won't. Stop pedestalizing me. I'm not to be put on a pedestal. I go to the bathroom, and I have to use spray every time I'm done because I don't have scented poop. There's no place for boasting about us. Look at what John the Baptist said. One cometh after me, whose strap on a sandal I'm not worthy to loosen. There you go. John the Baptist was a messenger. And what did Jesus say about that man? Among men born of women, there is no one greater than John. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about all these big pigheads on the internet. And the pigheads in society that got money. Among men born of women, there's no one greater than John the Baptist. Huh. Mark Zuckerberg, the Google staff, Bill Gates, George Soros. They're not even as great as John the Baptist, who dressed like a weirdo, who ate weird raw food. He'd look like an advertisement for Whole Foods Co-op, except for the camel fur. God is going to praise the abased. And he's going to laugh at the arrogant. When the day comes, they will burn like stubble. One day, the grass, it was winter, and it was dry. And I had the burn barrel, and I got it going, like 4 feet of flame out the top of it. And a piece of wood landed on the grass, and I had my back to it, and I turned around and went, I grabbed the hose. Little forks of flame started eating the grass. And just, that quick. I got the hose and sprayed. Stubble. Man, I got news for you. Bill Gates, Soros, Zuckerberg, they're stubble. Stubble. LeBron, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Oprah Winfrey, they're stubble. If you're not in Christ, that's all you are. This world doesn't value God, doesn't value His Word, doesn't value the church, doesn't value Israel. They don't like us. They value their slimy little godless, blind, whatever. And they exalt it. The evening news talks about the Oscars and the Emmys and all that. Who cares?
Best actress.
Who cares? Julia Roberts got so weird she decided to grow her armpit hair. Yuck. Society is not getting better. On the contrary, it's devolving. It's descending into the abyss. The magnetic North Pole is weakening. The earth is slowing down on its spin. The creation groans. Fools that get on the internet railing and hating people, they obviously haven't been through some tragedies. They've never heard what it sounds like when you're in your house and the sun's shining and suddenly you hear this noise that comes from deep within the earth. And the house you thought was so strong is going like this. When I stood in the kitchen doorway and it's flexing and I yelled a cuss word in front of my grandmother, I was scared. We're living in a world with fools. They haven't seen or experienced God and they're full of themselves. They wake up in the morning and they don't see themselves accurately in the light of God's holiness. Are we getting better because of the internet? I don't think so. Men are struggling more with lust, and women too. And now women, they want attention. They can get it from me, from him, from her. How do you know you can trust? You got a woman who's doing this with her phone. How in the world do you think you can trust that? A woman's supposed to be a helpmeet. You go to work and she's on all the social media and there's men. Oh, you're cute. Thank you. I'm starting to believe women who want to be married, get off the internet. Men who are married, get off the internet. It's a danger. It's temptation. I'm starting to realize that. If I'm serious about a woman or she's serious about me, she and I need to make a pact to say, other than checking your bank account or doing your online stuff, get off. The internet is not conducive to a marriage. It is battery acid. It's corrosive. The SS United States was the most beautiful ocean liner that America produced. It's not as beautiful as the Normandy or the Queen Mary or the Titanic, in my opinion. It was a very sterilized ship, no woodwork. They had seen a history of liners burning, and they wanted to avoid that. But it was state of the art. It was almost 1,000 feet long. She set the speed record and took the Blue Ribbon Award and holds it to this day. She sat in Norfolk, Virginia for decades. They ran dehumidifiers. The then captain lived on it for a while, changing light bulbs, making sure the dehumidifiers were going. That preserved the ship. Then they pulled the plug on it. The captain was off. And the silent legend, little by little, through years of neglect, began the decline. She was towed to Turkey and removed of all of her asbestos and all her beautiful appointments, stripped of the steel iron that she is, like an unfinished skyscraper. She was towed to Philadelphia and sat there. Docking fees were outrageous. Save our ship. It was said that the woman who headed that up was a granddaughter of William Gibbs, who designed the SS United States, and she was pocketing all the money. Of course. Ship was towed to Mobile, stripped of her funnels, stripped of her portholes, windows and glass and anchors. And I'm laughing. They have an environmental team making her environmentally safe to sink. Pump the remaining fuel out of the tanks. Take out any remaining asbestos. Yada, 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 yada. Then you go over to the Strait of Hormuz. They're sinking ships with all its oil and all its diesel. And we're worried about sinking an old liner that's not going to impact the environment. The dichotomy of our world is hysterically funny. Spending millions of dollars for an ocean liner, preparing it to sink. They should have just scrapped it. Now everybody that wanted to see her sail again is whining and fussing. Well, you didn't buy it. You didn't do anything about it. In my voyage of the Microo, because I love the ocean liners, the ship was let loose on purpose and managed to drift all the way around the world, just off the east coast of the Philippines in Luzon. And myself and the ladies were out on the Microo, and we're like, out there in a, like, what in the world? And it wasn't an accident. I said, that's the United States. What is that doing over here? We boarded it. I had the ladies go and get one of the tugs back in the Sound and said, we gotta get this thing to Manila. And we had a giant building built with a water entryway. And the ship was set up on pilings, water drained, big lights, and we stripped and sanded every square inch of rust and replaced rust, rewired it, redid everything. We got her to do 85 miles an hour. She swanted down the water so low. And we had specialist cruises for people purely into that stuff. They were high dollar voyages with dignitaries. Everybody wanted to go on a classic liner that did 85. And I kept the SS United States running, but it was based out of the Philippines. What a story! We built a new Normandy, just like it was. I don't like the cruise ships. Now everybody's getting infected on them. Isn't that fun? Want to go on a cruise? Yeah, throw up the old time, hantavirus, streptococcus, mono, whatever you got, all flying through the ventilation system in the cruise ship. Fun, fun, fun. The SS United States is so symbolic as a ship of our country. Last year, they towed her out, rust just flaking off the funnels, the hull. I said, that's America. That's exactly what America looks like. Big sheets of paint just flaking off. Rust on the upper decks that's punched through inch-thick steel plating. And yet, when the tugboat towed her, the captain was good enough to do video and post it. And even with all that rust, even without her under her own power, to see that out on the high seas was amazing. She still looked regal and majestic. The close of an era. Sad. She's going to be sunk sometime this year for divers. What's the point? It's a big steel shell. It's not like the Titanic, where the Turkish baths still have the tile on the walls. Oh, I love it when people talk ignorance about the Titanic. They talk about how the steel was inferior. Really? It's been down at the bottom of the ocean for 114 years. Not only was that steel damn good, with the salinity in the salt water, the steel that thick and all the rivets, they pulled up a piece that's in a casino in Vegas, the big piece. That thing's in pretty damn good shape. Now, when the Titanic sank, she wasn't designed to have her butt end sticking up towards heaven. She wasn't designed to plow into the seafloor. She wasn't designed to handle implosions once the stern got at a certain depth and all that trapped air went and hull plating spalled back. And the bow hit the bottom so hard that the forecastle head went and it broke on the expansion joint and sagged back down, and the rest of the ship went. And yet, all those decks are still standing. The railing's still there. The bow anchor's in place. Inferior steel, my butt cheeks. That was some good stuff. Let's see how long the United States lasts in the bottom of the Gulf. Things are going to corrode fast. And that's all of life is, folks. Our achievements, our so-called fame, what we chase and pursue. I was standing on a hill in Virginia, Minnesota. The dirt is red because it's heavily iron up there. It's the Iron Range, open pit mines with Euclids and Electro Hall, giant electric steam shovel buckets. Oh my gosh, I stood in the bucket. We had the whole bus of kids in the bucket. The teeth were that big. Wow. Everything's on a giant scale down in there. And we went to the mine in northern Minnesota. I walked through the mine shop where they do all the tool and die and whatever. There's one lady in there with no bra and her side shirt showing side boob. And I remember noticing to myself, these are all minor men, and there's one little SLUTTY woman in there showing her stuff. My gosh. I can't work next to a woman dressed like that. My mind is going to be looking at those things. Why would a woman want to work in a man's world like that? And then she goes there like she's available. Yeah, I pay attention to everything. But I told my then wife and my son, we were standing, and I pointed to the truck. I said, you see that? In so many years, it will become this. And even my wife said, you know, I never thought about that. I said, well, that's steel. I look at how much money people get so excited about these classic autos. And I used to too. Do you know how much it costs now to restore these things? Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Why do people plunge money into an SS, a Charger? You can spend 50, 60, 80 grand in a restore. All of us get so sucked up into things. I even said if I was a billionaire, I would have bought the SS United States. I would have looked at the cost and said, I want every square inch of that sandblasted, all that rust taken off. And I want any rusted through plating replaced with same grade steel. Okay, what are you going to do with it? Do you know how much it costs to outfit that with engines? Because the old engine ain't going to fire up. The electronics have been gutted. You got to put in all new plumbing. And who's going to go on that? There's no amusement park. There's no all-you-can-eat buffets. You're in a compartmentalized ship from an old world. Who's going to go on it? People want to go on a fun cruise where they can indulge in everything. There is something wrong with me. I'd rather have the ship than the cruise. And the world is leaving that faster by the day. They don't want that. They don't want that old stuff. Have you looked at a cruise ship? They're ugly as sin. They're giant floating Walmart. You don't see, it just blows me away. And I made this video because I needed to. You don't see no twirly slide up on that. A dang roller coaster. That's the Queen Mary. Total trophage. The bow is completely submerged. And if you look closely, that water and that spray is hitting the bridge. You can see the smoke coming out of the funnels. It's flatlined. That's a heck of a wind. That is more consistent with the Christian life. But you've got this subculture in Christianity that acts like a cruise ship. Whee! They're not that. They're not struggling. And there's an old song they sing down here in the South. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. Nobody wants old. But the Bible refers to God as the Ancient of Days. We've lost sight of that. We want new love, baby. We want a new this and a new that and a new car and a new debt. You buy a pickup truck today, you don't get an 8-foot bed. You get all this cab. They're not even cloth seats. They're that leather or vinyl, and you step on the floor and your foot slips. Wow, what happened to the truck? I'm sorry, I like the truck with the metal door panels and the metal ceiling. I don't need all that poofy southern quilted seats thing. It's like putting all that fabric on a toilet bowl. Why? I'm Indiana Jones. Give me that solid steel Tonka truck that fires up when we got to get away from some clowns. Let them chase us in the Silverado. Let them. First couple of turns over that rocky stuff and they'll bust all the CV joints and tear it up. I'm gone. We live in a world that just values different things, and I don't go for that. I love to go back in time and stand on that ship. Yes, even on the bridge. Different times. I wonder how the people on that ship at that time would receive me if I came into their world like this, not with a shirt on, but just the way I am. How in the world would they view me? I'm standing up there, Captain, that's a heck of a wave. Men were made different back then. They weren't females. They weren't Bill Gates. They weren't Donald Trump. The man who captained that ship through that storm, that's a man. He wasn't, after that, he wasn't getting online saying, I have PTSD. A wave hit the bridge and I'm just damaged. We're wussies today. Wussies. The men that fought in World War II, they weren't sitting here going, am I a boy or a girl? I better check. No. They were fighting against evil. Invasion of Normandy. We've changed. Look at the statue in Daniel. Notice the last part, the last empire. The iron mixed with clay. That's coming. And only God is going to smash the power of dominions and authorities setting themselves up against the Most High. Are you looking forward to that, viewer? Most people aren't into this. I am. It's still timeless. Gray seas, smokestacks, rigging, a ship that did a job. Now we're catering to a feminist society, catering to a 13%ers that are screaming and yelling and a toddler in the room about everything. Everything's quiet until they don't get attention. Then we're going to have more riots and crime waves. We got a political party in this U.S. that's hell-bent on destroying us, and they're the ones that created FEMYAS. It's so funny. He's fighting against discrimination against transgenders while he's harassing anybody who's a Christian and a conservative, and that's allowed in our society. What the hell? It is hell. And the devil is running around all over the place, enjoying every minute of it. You imagine FEMYAS on that ship? That guy'd be crying like a baby. He'd be scared shitless to be on something like that. I wish I could go back and experience that and live to tell about it. Grandkids sitting around the table going, yeah, I was on the Queen Mary. And a wave came up and just blasted over the bow. And this ship went down and you could feel it. And then it went back up and the water like Niagara went streaming off the decks. That's awesome. It's the power of God out there. You get these little twats and nitwits and stinky scrotum boys on the internet thinking they're God out here. They couldn't pilot that ship. They couldn't even work on it. Yeah, I tell you what, when you tell the truth, you're going to be hated. You're going to be harassed, and that's why they're there. Daily installments of clowns. Even if I was to wear a suit and tie, they'd still be there. Charlie Kirk dressed way more professional than I did. He was shot and killed. Just for kindly telling the truth and handing his enemies a microphone. Who does that? Charlie Kirk was no threat to society. John the Baptist was no threat to society. Jesus said to the Pharisees, you killed and stoned the prophets. And you know why they did it? They didn't want to hear what they had to say. Jesus were to walk down the streets of America, they'd do it all over again. The time is coming when they will not endure sound doctrine, but instead, having itching ears, heap to themselves teachers. Joel Osteen, Joyce Myers, Paula White, clowns unlimited, all in the evangelical community, all millionaires, all driving nice cars, designer homes. What's with Joel Osteen and his wife's house? Have you seen it? This big, grand, ugly entrance. Have you seen his wife? I cannot imagine marrying a woman like Joel Osteen's wife. Cotton candy. And he's a cotton candy preacher. You think Joel Osteen could stand on the bridge of that ship and handle that? What happened to the real men in our society? I'm not talking about the trolls that get on here and think they're macho. They're not. What happened to real men? What happened to ladies? Ladies! There's a difference between being female and lady. Mark that in your minds, women. We are the erosion generation. I am. Gen X to me is the last solid piece of titanic steel that we could potentially, but we're getting aged. We're starting to die. We're going down the other side of the hill. The millennials are next. We're in trouble. Gen Z, listen to the sound of a toilet flush. How much time do we have left? I don't know. God could raise a righteous remnant that could turn things around, but I am going to say it. I don't think. Based on what I'm seeing on the internet, we're not coming back. We're not coming back. You're not going to make America great again. The world's getting worse. The internet is leveling the playing field out. Filipina girls aren't looking for marriage anymore. Do you remember that? Do you remember when the chat room started? Yeah, Filipina, I'm looking good man that not cheat. Now they're not doing that. Now they're on the internet going, woo, look at me. And they're throwing money and they're showing their little 2 inches of breast meat. That's it. That now the real selfishness of humankind and the motives, why do they want to get married? Be taken out of poverty. Now they don't want to leave the Philippines because now they can be little SLUTs and get paid for it. So they don't need a man. That's why I'm telling men, you got to be careful. Why does a woman want you? What's she interested in? Is she interested in you? Your house? Your bank account? You being a life preserver? What is it? You better vet her. You better vet her. What about me? What about the women that show an interest and we talk and I think, man, she's pretty. Poof. No more conversation. What's going on? They don't need me. They want me for a minute. I remember when they had that dumb commercial back in the 80s, pie in minutes, just 10 minutes. Stupid little commercial to put a pie in a microwave. You go to the store now, people aren't making food like they used to. I met a woman in Virginia, Minnesota. She was the dentist's office receptionist for my then wife when she was a kid. They invited us to their cottagey home in Virginia. They spent $100,000 on the kitchen remodel. Cute little cottage, had an Italian feel inside. The kitchen was beautiful. It had a center island, had noodle bins built into it. She had the gas stove. It was beautiful. I said, wow, I bet you have fun cooking here. She goes, I don't cook in here at all. I'm like, what you talking about, Willis? No, Michael, I don't want to mess it up. So you built a designer kitchen to look like a museum so you're going to have the house beautiful just to show off. Yep. I know people all around, women that would have fun using that kitchen. And she made it a museum piece. While I struggled. My house is not house beautiful. It never would make it in there. But it's got character and it's functional. You're telling me that I'm about to leave and it's only 15 from 200 likes? I have poured my heart on this in a way I have not done. I'm saying it like it is. And I know that everybody listening to this that's a Christian knows Mike's speaking truth. Because this isn't from me, it's from God. We need to ask ourselves some questions. I'm not going to go back and try to be like that captain. There's no way I can. I'm not hardwired that way. But it's okay. We need to look in the past. We need to look at real men and we need to go, yeah, we've really fallen. That was that man's job. He didn't go to a factory making $17 an hour. No, he was in charge of a massive ocean liner with a lot of souls. Any decision he made that could cost would land him in trouble. You talk about a well-built ship. She sits there in Long Beach looking just as regal as ever. Trod upon by wussies, tourists, flakes that know nothing about the heart and soul of that ship. An inglorious death. I swear, Makes me wonder when they deposit the United States on the bottom of the Gulf, how much longer will America last? It's funny these two become inextricably tied together. America's been rusting, dry rotting for decades. And people say, make it great. Yep, just like the SS, let's buy it, let's sail it. Can't. We're doing the same thing as the ship. And all that's left now is for this to be deep sixed. The American experiment has not worked. We need God, democracy, republic. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you know why? Because there's only one that'll work, and it's called the theocracy, the lordship of Jesus Christ. That's it. That's it. Thank you for listening, viewers. We need to ask ourselves some questions. Use the things of this world as tools only, not as idols. Hold loosely to what you own. The greatest privilege is to be used by God, not acquire self-importance and wealth and stuff. My aunt wore a shirt years ago. I used to think it's funny, but it's not. He who dies with the most toys wins. That's not true. I've never seen a U-Haul or a Mayflower Van Lines truck behind a Hearst, ever. They still haven't figured out how to take man's possessions and put them into the next world with them. Moth and rust doth corrupt. The beautiful Titanic one day will fall in on itself. She's done a dang good job with all this aventure of the floors are still holding up. Amazing. That was not inferior steel. She hit an iceberg. An iceberg is so hard, it is like stone. You're talking ice that has sat there for thousands of years compressed. You got a ship that's 882.5 feet long going approximately 21 knots. And neither one is going to give. The hull plates were the weakest point. And they buckled in, popping rivets, allowing water to gush in. That ship was designed well. It wasn't designed to take a sideways glance at an iceberg. She could have hit it. She could have stubbed her bow and still made it to New York. But turning that wheel put her in the worst spot. And the rest is history. You can live your whole life without God. And it looks like it's working pretty good. It's like the Titanic on its maiden voyage. But you've ripped a gash all the way through your soul. And even though it's taken more than 2 hours and 40 minutes, you as a human without God is starting to slowly go down. And your own pride and indifference and blindness doesn't see the water coming into the engine room. Sucks to be an unbeliever. So full of yourself and your own entitlement and arrogance and miss it. God sent his son for you to believe and be saved. And you mock that. Satan said, I shall be like the Most High. These clowns on the internet, I'm going to win against Michael. I'm going to dog him. You may. You may absolutely, but you'll never win against the truth that's coming out of my mouth that comes from God. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Even if I'm gone, God will raise up another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. And even during the tribulation, you'll have two witnesses with all of the hatred of hell right there, boldly declaring God, and nobody can touch him until God's appointed time. God wins. You don't. You can wipe me out, but you can't wipe out the truth of God and the Holy Spirit. Praise Jesus. God bless.